The Great War has begun. All the major nations and empires of Europe are in open conflict, thanks to a complex series of alliances and decades of rising tensions and ambitions. The world stage lies divided between the Central Powers, comprising of Austria-Hungary, the German Empire, later the aging Ottoman Empire, and the smaller Balkan nations like Bulgaria, and the Allies, comprising of Russia, Serbia, France, and because of Germany's violation of the Belgian neutrality, the British Empire. Before we dive deeper into the meat of things, let's have a brief overview of the situation leading up to the Battle of Mons. A few years before the famous assassination of Archduke Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary, the ailing Ottoman Empire's influence in the Balkans had been steadily eroded away. Many Slavic peoples demanding and fighting for independence, culminating in the Balkan Wars. This war is one of many matchsticks on the pyre. Before, during, and after the conflict was resolved, it was clear that the Habsburg Empire, led by Kaiser Franz Joseph I, was exerting more influence in the region, the old empire building of a bygone age, and playing with fire. Austria-Hungary turned its attention to Serbia, and tension was rising. More so since Serbia had an alliance with the Tsardom of Russia, ruled over by one of many Queen Victoria's grandchildren, Tsar Nicholas II, of whom which threatened outright hostilities with the Habsburgs should they try anything funny. Austria-Hungary held a similar alliance with the German Empire, led by the now famous Kaiser Wilhelm II, Queen Victoria's first grandson. I'll do a video on him sometime in the future because he really is an interesting yet tragic story. Anyhow, Germany vows to assist Austria-Hungary in any future war should Russia attack, but Russia has an ally in the West, one to which has a vendetta against the young German Empire, the French Third Republic. Going back to the 1870s, the French Empire under Napoleon III had a short but sharp war with Prussia and a German confederation known as the Franco-Prussian War. Within a span of 7 to 8 weeks, the French armies were routed, Paris sieged, Napoleon III abdicated, and yet another French Revolution, which brought the Third Republic to reign. Out of that war comes the unification of Germany into the German Empire, led by the former Prussian king, Kaiser Wilhelm I, and the German Empire's seizure of the Alsace-Lorraine regions. The French since have vowed to retake the territory lost and give the Germans hell for it. So, where's the British Empire in all this? Well, they're in a loose alliance with France and Russia, but once war did break out, they were content to sit on the sidelines for the moment. Also, Britain was led by the King and Emperor of India, George V, yet another of Queen Victoria's grandsons. But Britain was not idle. For nearly a decade, the Royal Navy was blockading Germany as a show of strength, as the German Empire had been causing the odd bit of trouble here and there, like in French North Africa, by sending gunboats on 2 separate occasions and taking an active role in fighting in the Boxer Rebellion in China, to name a couple of incidents. Italy was also part of the Central Powers, however, they were not bound to the alliance like the others and stayed out of it, until 1915 when they joined the Allies to take some territory from Austria-Hungary, but also gave Rommel a chance to show history that he is someone to watch. Now here's where most people know the story. Archduke Ferdinand and his wife are murdered by Princip, a suspected Serbian terrorist, although the murdered Archduke was sympathetic to the Slavic plight. The Austria-Hungarian military staff saw this as the perfect excuse to open hostilities with Serbia and occupy another nation for the Habsburgs. However, when war was declared and within 24 hours the Serbian capital of Sarajevo was under siege, the Tsardom of Russia declared war on Austria-Hungary, and vice versa, with the German Empire. Preempting the imminent French attack, Germany then declared war on the French, enacting the Schlieffen Plan, another German stroke to end the French within a similar time frame to that of the Franco-Prussian War, so that the Central Powers can then turn attention to Russia, the great lumbering bear, they thought. Though they were proved wrong, as Russia moved its vast armies far more rapidly than expected, defeating a German army in East Prussia and pushing back the Austro-Hungarian forces. In the west, the German armies advanced into Belgium, as mentioned earlier, violated Belgian neutrality, and brought the British Empire into the war. The French implemented their own offensive to retake Alsace-Lorraine and invade Germany, culminating in the famed Battle of the Frontiers, for which is important in terms of the Battle of Mons' story. For where, the first time in history, the historical allies of the British and the Prussian-led Germans will do battle. This is but the introduction to the Battle of Mons, which will be out soon, so stay tuned if you're interested. Hope to see you then.